Hey everyone, it's Mary Hanley, and I am so excited to be sharing something that's so very important today and something that's very near to my heart. About 8 years ago, I was sitting in the floor and could not get up simply because, for one thing, I was overweight, but at the same time, my legs hurt, my feet hurt, my body ached all over. I really did not know what I was going to do. And I had just had a baby, had baby number 5, and I really, at the time, I thought, well, I'm postpartum. Still, have not lost any baby fat, and I'm just tired. But the days kept going by, and I kept feeling worse, and I kept feeling more depleted and more nasty, and I ended up in the hospital and having to have fluids and antibiotics through an IV because I was so horribly sick. And my body just finally gave up and stopped. It was just like, I can't take anymore. Well, after that time, I began to really search and figure out what it was that I needed for my body. How was I going to change? What was I going to do differently? I had yo-yo dieted my entire life, and I thought, okay, if I lose weight, that is going to be the key. That will be the end all be all. If I just get the baby fat off, it will make it all better and I will be perfectly fine. That was not necessarily the case. That was not where everything ended, but it was a step in the right direction because through my searching of, all of the mass amounts of diets that I had done my entire life, I knew the things that did not work because I had tried them all, everything, but I went in search of something new and different that I had not tried yet. So in that search, I found Atkins, which of course is, if you've ever heard of it, it is all fruits. You take everything pretty much away and you eat just piles and piles of fruits and proteins. Now, one misconception is that you eat so much protein that, just all the protein you can eat, all the vegetables you can eat. Now, while you eat tons and tons of vegetables, yes, the protein, you still do not need too much protein as well because your body cannot utilize too much protein. You still have to have a balance of that as well. And that was some of the things I began to learn. But through the taking away of different foods and living off of things that were better for me, I discovered that my body felt so much better. Yes, I began to lose weight, and I thought it was simply because I was losing weight. But as I soon came to realize, it was way more than just the losing weight. It was so much more. There was a vast amount of reasons why I was beginning to feel better. So I'm going to finish that story in just a little bit, but we're going to begin to talk about our gut today. Having gut health and what that means and what we can do about it. Because really and truly, everything begins and ends in our gut every single day. Everything that we eat, everything we put in our mouth, everything has to go through our internal system, and it has to come out at some point. So we have to really be paying attention to our mood, our food, and our poop every single day. If we do not pay attention to those things, we are going to live a very kind of miserable existence sometimes because all of those things work together. How our mental status is affected by our gut, which was such a surprise to me. So today we're going to start talking about our gut, and we're going to go through probably in 2 different lessons because this is going to be a lot of information. So we'll do this lesson and then we'll have another one next week and we will finish up our discussion. So today we're going to start, I'm going to give you a little background of our gut, and we're going to kind of go through what our gut does and what its purpose is. Thomas Edison said the doctor of the future will give no medication but will interest his patients in the care of the human frame, diet, and in the cause and prevention of disease. There are only 2 things that we really need to focus on every single day when we are going through our health. As Thomas Edison said, he was looking at it from a perspective of long ago, but that one day that things would be a little bit different, that we would look at diet in a different way and looking at preventatives of diseases. And while, yes, to some degree we are beginning to do that, there are still a lot of people that go toward the medication first. I am a true believer in there are so many things we can do with the things that we're putting into our bodies every single day. The things that we're cleaning our homes with, the things that we're putting on our bodies as we take a bath, the makeup that we use on our face, every single thing, like all the food that we eat, everything affects our body. So we can go in one or two directions. We can go to the medication side and have the side effects of the different medicines and just keep covering up the next side effect from the next medication, or we can try to clean our gut out and try to figure out and get down to the root of what the problem is. So that's what we're going to be talking about today is if we want to go in a different direction, if we want to get rid of the medications, what's a different direction can we go? And so that's what we're going to talk about today. A lot of times, even getting colds and flus, a lot of times can be from the effects of our gut. We are going to be talking about a very holistic approach to our foods and to the things that we do. This class on our gut is going to really open your eyes to so many things that you're really going to be shocked. And some things you're going to know, some things you're going to understand that you've learned in school or you may already know already. But there's going to be some things that are going to surprise you, just like it did me as I have learned more about my gut over the last few years and how it works. Okay, so let's delve in and we're going to talk. I'm going to read a few things to you so that I do not leave anything out. So I'm convinced that the single most important thing that we can do on our journey through living clean and cleaning up our home and cleaning up our body is to protect your gut. It is, at the very best, it can mean a significantly better lifestyle and better quality of life. At the very least, it can literally be the difference between life and death. And I say that, at one point I would have been like, that's extreme. But as I've seen it and I have been at that point myself, I truly, truly believe that. If you asked me about the importance of gut health several years ago, I would have given you the answer. I can't be perfect all the time. I can't eat rice cakes constantly. I don't want things that taste nasty. I want things that taste good. I can't live all organic all the time. I don't want to live in a bubble. Eating gluten-free, really, that's just crazy. Not eating sugar, in what world do you live in? I mean, all of these things was going through my mind, and I thought, this is crazy. You can't live that way. And especially to say avoid toxins or any kind of poisonous chemicals or anything like that, I thought that was just like really, really weird. Like, you can't do that. Everything is chemical. Everything's going to kill you. I mean, like, that's the point where I would go. Everything, it could kill you, but there are things that we can do to change some of the things that we're doing. Here's a question I have for you. No one needs to hear this answer but you. Are you really fine? Are you truly fine in your body right now? Is your body working and functioning the way it needs to every single day? I want to define what fine is. Is it waking up every day with stiff, sore muscles and an aching back, being in chronic pain? Is it daily or weekly headaches? Is it weight that will not go away? Is it a diet that's just subpar? Do you sleep completely through the night? Are you constipated? Or do you have diarrhea? I mean, like one extreme or the other. Do you battle depression and anxiety? What about your brain and migraines and dyslexia or ADHD or ADD? Do you have kids that are affected by this? Are you yourself affected by these? Is your gut distended? Like, so many of us have that little pooch, and we're going to talk about that as well. Do you have inflammation? Do you have food allergies or IBS? Do you have acne or eczema or psoriasis? What are some of those things that you deal with on a daily basis? What about, candida? What about, which is like having a yeast overgrowth? How do you handle stress? Do you get so stressed out you just really, like, everything just goes crazy some of the times? What about your hormones or your libido? What about your energy levels? All of these things are affected by our gut. Every single one can be helped and changed by the things we're putting in and on our bodies every single day. Your cells are literally made up of what you put in your mouth. If you ate sugary cereal this morning, it's already in every single cell of your body, doing some sort of effect to your body. 90% of sickness and disease starts in our gut. If you begin your work right there, just in your gut, starting to clean up the things that you eat and the things that you put on your body and the things you put in your house, you have a 9 out of 10 shot that you're starting in the right place. It's not fixed by cutting one food. Like, it's not like, oh, I've got to cut back on my sugar. No, it's like cutting out sugar. It's not, well, I'm going to eat one meal a day that's got vegetables in it, or I'm going to try to do better on this one thing. It's not fixed by a diet you do just for a few months and then go back to eating what you want to. I was laughing at my husband one day. He was like, he had to go to the doctor, and he was like, I really want to lose some weight before I go to the doctor. So he lost some weight, and then he was like, well, I have to go back in 6 months. So I'll just eat what I want to. And he was joking, but it was funny because, that's the things that we say. I'll eat what I want to for the next 3 months, and then 3 months before I'll lose some more weight or whatever. That's not how it works. Like, that is so stressful on your body in general. It's not fixed by cutting out your McDonald's or your Chick-fil-A even, or whatever, or going to Starbucks. Like, it's not fixed with those tiny little pieces. Yes, it's a step in the right direction. Yes, taking a new step every day, doing one new thing every day and cutting something is something, and it's great to move forward. But we also have to really see changes, we've got to make a lot of tough decisions to make changes. It's going to be a process to reverse all of the things, but it's also going to be a process in learning about our bodies and how to fix it. The good news is that God designed our bodies to heal itself, which I think is the most amazing thing ever, because at that moment when I'm sitting in the floor crying because I feel like I have totally ruined myself, my body was capable of healing itself, and it did begin to heal as I made changes to it, and it began to feel better than it ever had in my entire life. If we stop damaging it and we start to make repairs on itself as we're working through the process, it will begin to heal itself from the inside out as we are making these changes. You can have a better life. You can have a better feeling. I am here to tell you that it is possible, and it really isn't that hard. It's a challenge, yes, and it is making a conscious effort every single day, but it is so worth it. So, so worth it. You just have to be committed and be disciplined to making the changes. If you're not in a place to hear the hard things right now and to be ready to make these changes, then come back, listen to this later, really begin to pray about it and really think about making these changes. And then come back and listen again when your heart is where it needs to be, because your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit. And God made us these bodies to take care of and to be that steward of. And if we're just throwing things in it that's not good, then we're not being a good steward of what God has given us. So we need to protect it, and we need to keep it safe, and we need to do whatever we can to make it live the very best life it can while we're here. We laugh all the time. I tell my kids that I'm going to live to be 125, and that I make sure they do too. And they laugh about it, but I'm like, I don't care about dying at 70 or at, even at 80. I don't want to, I'm not ready for that yet, or at that point, like I don't want to think that half my life is over yet. I've still got many, many years left in me. This is why health is so important, is to make sure that we are taking care of what God has given us every single day. So you're at a fork in the road. You have to come to this place where you realize that the wisdom you have, that you have a choice to make, to take on this new wisdom and then move forward with it, or to keep doing the things you've been doing. So right now is your choice. You can continue to listen, and we can continue to grow and learn together, and then you can make new choices, or you can step back into the things that you've been doing. So listen on, because there are going to be some things that I think will help you to realize that you want to make good, solid choices and good changes. There's something you came to discover that you may not even realize that you've discovered, in your life. If you really start thinking about the different medications you're on and the different things that you're taking every single day, if you really think about those things, think about what each one of them are making you feel like. Which medicines are you taking because you have to have them because of this one particular ailment, but the doctor's giving you this other medicine because the other medicine you're taking is causing this other problem. So you're stacking another problem on top of another problem, and that's not helping anything. It's not fixing anything. How long has it been since you've really felt good? And that was one thing I got to that point of. I realized that I had really never felt good. Even when I was a kid, I would still feel sick so many times. I mean, things I ate made me feel sick. I just felt blah all the time. I was very tired all the time. I had no energy at all. It was just always I feel like I was trudging through mud, everything that I did. And when I began to realize and see what was going on and heal my gut, everything changed. Everything changed. So I will tell you what I tell every single person, that whenever I teach any oils classes or any kind of class, you cannot use a Band-Aid for a lifestyle decision. A Band-Aid, just stick a Band-Aid on it and move on. You cannot do that. Eating fast food 6 days a week and using peppermint totally does not fix a problem. Trying to, lemon is great for detoxing, but putting a drop of lemon in your water does not change all the things you've been doing in the past. So one oil is not going to fix it all. Taking half of the sugar out of your diet is not going to do it. It's got to be commitment. It's got to be total change and total all in. My goal is total repair. It's not a masked feeling. It's not covering something up, but it's a lifelong health change. And that's what I want for you. And that's what I want to help you to find. And that's what I want to help you to get to. And we're going to work on it together. I promise you can do it. It's great. And it's going to be wonderful. And you're going to feel wonderful. And you're going to be so glad that you did. For you to want to fight for yourself, you must get to the point where your health is so poor that you can no longer ignore lifestyle decisions like sugar binging, processed foods, eating out, and poor food sources. When you're too sick to look anywhere but up, then you are ready to dig into the gut and make the repairs that will last. Then you're looking at a future that is better than your past. And that is where we are today. Because when I sat and realized that I had to totally change everything that I did and everything that I was doing, it totally made a total difference in everything that I did on a daily basis. I totally cut out the sugar. I was totally gluten-free, dairy-free, sugar-free. And for 2 weeks, I lived on nothing but meat and vegetables. And then I began to add foods back slowly each week, very tiny increments of food. And then when I felt like there was a problem, because I promise you, when you take everything away and you start feeling better, your sensitivity to everything is so much stronger. And you realize that, oh, that did not feel good. My tummy hurts, or this thing didn't feel good, or my head started to hurt, or I'm really angry at you for no apparent reason whatsoever. And it is weird how your body reacts to the different changes when there's something that is affecting you in a negative way. And you pull that back away and you start with something else and you eat something different. Like, it's crazy. But your body knows, and your body will tell you, and everyone's different. There may be things that you can eat that I can't eat. There's things that other people can eat that does not affect that I can eat that other people can't eat. Everybody's bodies are different. God made us all very, very unique. I mean, our guts are just like a fingerprint. Like, they're totally your own. They're not anybody else's. So for me to sit here and say, okay, well, if you cut this, this, and this, then you're going to be perfectly fine. No, that's not how it works, because everybody's bodies are different. But there are a few things that seem to be the bigger triggers. Gluten, dairy, and sugar are huge triggers for most anybody. Sugar and dairy both are very inflammatory. Your body actually tries to cover it up, so it adds more inflammation to surround itself and to protect itself from this crazy invader that just came into it, because it just don't really know what to do with those things. And so it just inflames more. And so whenever you're feeling bloated after you've eaten sugar or dairy or something like that, or even gluten, then your body will trigger itself and it'll say, oh, this is scary. Let me cover this up. Let me protect myself from this weird invader thing that's coming to me. And that is one interesting thing that I discovered. And then as I began to realize that certain things were very sensitive, I'm very sensitive to potatoes. Craziness. Love potatoes. I mean, like, absolutely could live off potatoes every single day, all day long. Like, it would not be hard for me. French fries, my best friend. But they do not like me at all. Potatoes, very inflammatory for me. And so I can eat half a potato and I can tell that I've had a half potato. It's nuts. So we have to really be paying attention to our bodies each and every day. So what is in our gut? Here we go. Your gut includes your mouth, your esophagus, your stomach, which is right here on your left side, that way, left side. And then your small intestines, which of course comes around behind it, and it's just all bunches of wadded up stuff inside there, little small intestines. And then your liver, which is on your right side, your gallbladder's right behind it, and your pancreas, all right there together, goes into your large intestines. So it wraps around the small intestines, and then comes down into your colon, into your rectum, and of course, then you poop out. So it starts where the food goes in and where it comes out. That is your full gut, all of that. So anything that affects any of that area is going to be what we're talking about, okay? So any of that area can be affected. So in your mouth, food is chewed up, and digestive enzymes are released, and the acid helps to kill the unwanted fungi, bacteria, and parasites that's in your food. So all those enzymes are already working by the time it's starting to get to the stomach. Then the food goes into your stomach and into your small intestines, where all the nutrients absorb, all that absorbs and all that absorption occurs. And then the small intestines is very sensitive and prone to gut damage. This is where I did find out I had celiac. So my little villi, these little fingers that are in your small intestines, and they help to pull things in, like the nutrients and stuff, put them out into your body. But sometimes they get, if things are, you're eating things that's not good for you, then your body, your little villi don't know what to do. It kind of gets damaged. Some of them get cut off, and so then they're not working. They get stuff stuck and gummed up in between them. So they're not doing what they're supposed to do. So lots of things. And so this is some of where we get leaky gut syndrome, because so much stuff can then just go be out and absorbed into other parts of your body all of a sudden. Okay, so after everything's absorbed and it goes down into your small intestines and it goes into your large intestines, then the bacteria assist with the digestion and detoxification of all of the things that you have eaten. 30% of the U.S. population have some form of IBS, which is irritable bowel syndrome. 84% of all cases are caused by an overgrowth of bad bacteria in your gut. Now, you have to have good and bad bacteria. You have to have them both. I mean, you don't have to have the bad bacteria, but you have to have the good bacteria to eat up the bad bacteria. That doesn't always happen because a lot of the antibiotics that we take that are just from the doctor's office, this is why antibiotics are so horrendous, your body cannot tell the difference between, or when I thought your body, my words are all messed up right now. The antibiotic cannot tell the difference between the good and the bad bacteria. So it eats up the good and the bad, which is not good for your body. Your body needs the good bacteria so that it can eat up the bad stuff. And when you take too many antibiotics, then your body is depleting all of the good bacteria. And that is not going to help your body in your internal balance whatsoever. And then that's when yeast overgrowth happens. That's when so many different diseases come on. That's when you can get colds and flus really easily. And there's just tons of things. Thousands more diseases are directly linked to the health of our gut and through all of those things that come and go all the time. The good news is because the gut can heal itself, the disease can be healed. So many things can be healed. So some facts about the human gut. Bacteria in your gut starts growing while you're in utero and is mostly developed by the time you're 3 years old. So like your gut's always being formed. Now everything, if you are a mother and you're pregnant with a baby, you are feeding that baby. Like everything you eat goes into that baby. And that's one thing I realized after I had the kids. You know, you always think about that. Like, you know that. Like, you know that everything you're eating, that baby has to be nourished somehow. And you're giving them the nutrients. Like, you realize that. But I don't know that it ever really hits you that, like when you're pregnant, like I always think, my thought was, the baby's getting all the good nutrients. Well, maybe so, but if you're never putting any good nutrients into your body, what good nutrients is it going to get? Eating the 500th candy bar because you're so hungry for chocolate because you're pregnant and you just think, oh, well, I'm pregnant, I can have whatever I want. It's not really the case because you're feeding this baby. And I think back after I realized all of these things and I start realizing, oh my word, what did I feed myself? What did I feed my baby after all that time, 6 kids? And I see now how the things that I ate affected them so many times. And it's weird because some of them I ate better than I ate with others. And the things that I ate with them when I was pregnant are the things they crave now. It is the weirdest thing. It's the craziest thing. And so I feel like I set them up for failure. I should have been eating tons and tons of vegetables at the time because maybe they would have really loved certain things more. And it's a battle to try to keep that balance for them. It's well documented that exposure to dirt, bacteria, and animals aid in the development of a healthier immune system. Today, we don't have constant exposure to dirt to train our immune system. When I was listening to something the other day, and it was talking about the immune system, there's been studies to show that people who live on farms and have children, that those kids, if they're born into that, where they're used to having animals and, all having to be around that kind of stuff, especially around hay and grass and, all that stuff, then they're less likely to have allergies than kids who live in the city. And I thought that was really cool. With a couple of kids, we weren't really in the city, but we really didn't have animals at the time. And they tend to be a little bit more allergic to things. But then later we moved, and we now have a little small farm, and so we've got tons of animals and hay and all of the stuff. And so the later kids do not have the allergies like some of the earlier kids did. So it's just really cool how that works. If autoimmune diseases were measured as one group, they would rival the number of Americans with heart disease. That's kind of scary. Now, autoimmune is one of those things that I never really thought much about. Diabetes is considered an autoimmune disease, which was something I never had thought about for years and years and years, didn't realize. And it wasn't until later that that thought became a reality for me. And, it's kind of scary. The autoimmune diseases, when you put them all together, can really be close to the same amount of people who have heart disease, which is really, really sad. The earlier antibiotics are used, the more damage they do. If they are used too early, before bacteria can populate the entire gut, you risk losing that bacteria for your entire lifetime. That's why it's really not good, babies having ear infections and having all different kinds of chronic illnesses themselves as babies. They need that time for their little guts to be able to get that good bacteria and get it to build up. Children who are born vaginally have different different gut bacteria than those born by C-section. Probiotics are healthy bacteria, and prebiotics feed those bacteria. That's why it's so important. Like things like Acidophilus, the little pearls, they're like little bitty, teeny tiny little pills, but they have tons of probiotics. Those are amazing. I love those. The earlier a child takes probiotics, the more beneficial it is. Okay, so why is it so important that we have good gut health? So you have about 3 to 4 and a half to 4 pounds. Oh my goodness, I cannot talk. Of bacteria in your gut alone, just in your gut. They're a highly organized micro world with a pecking order. Some species control others. They serve so many functions that if our gut was sterilized, we would likely not survive. That's crazy. We are symbiotic with our gut bacteria, like an oxpecker bird that eats the bugs off of a rhino. They sound the alarm to let the rhinos know humans are close, to save them from being poached. So that's pretty cool. The human digestive tract is a long tube open to the world by its mouth. So you open your mouth, all of that's just open. And then you have the end of it. And so if we eat and drink a plethora of toxins, why do we not die? You would think it would be instantaneous. It's because the whole tube is coated with a bacterial layer, providing a natural barrier against invaders. If the gut is damaged, you are a city without the walls of protection. So it's like having this big wall around your gut, has a wall around it. And so your bacteria is helping to fight off things to come across that wall. But if that wall gets broken, if rock, it's like say a rock is thrown into a wall and it breaks, if your gut lining is broken, then you're going to start having damage done to your entire gut. And all the invaders come swarming in. So if the gut, if you're open to viruses and parasites, bad bacteria, toxic substances, and dangerous chemicals, candida, and so much more, when that gut lining gets damaged, all of those things can affect your body and affect your gut. Not only does our gut flora protect us, but it also helps us absorb nutrients. Without it, you become now malnourished. It sets up a chain of degenerative changes in the digestive wall, which further impact your ability to absorb the good things from your food. So, what are the things that can damage your gut? Antibiotics is one, which we talked about a while ago. Kill your energy vitamins like B1, B2, B3, B6, B12, vitamin K, magnesium, and potassium. All of those are depleted from taking an antibiotic. And acids diminish calcium, folic acid, iron, and vitamins B and D. Now, one interesting thing is antacids, a lot of times when we feel like we've got heartburn, it's not because we've got more acid. Everybody says, oh, I've got too much acid in my stomach. It's really because we don't have enough acid in our stomach. We have to have an acid-alkaline balance in our gut. So we have to keep up that alkaline and acid balance as a whole. And you want to keep up that acid balance. You don't want it to deplete, and get completely washed down. And a lot of times we do that because we're taking so many antacids. And antidepressants that knocks out the coenzyme, the Q10, and the vitamin B2 when we're taking antidepressants. Anti-inflammatory drugs like cortisone and prednisone, all of these deplete your calcium and zinc and vitamin C and vitamin D that you take. Now, in order to keep those up, then you have to supplement, with something else. And that's, it's a lot of vitamins. A lot of things I have to try to swap out. Blood pressure lowering drugs. This steals your calcium, your magnesium, your potassium, and your sodium. Sodium is very important to keep a balance of that as well. All of those things are, especially potassium. I didn't realize until my grandmother had her potassium levels will drop really easily, and she'll have to go to the doctor, and they'd have to give her potassium, and I didn't realize how dangerous that was for your potassium to get really low. Cholesterol lowering drugs take away coenzyme Q10 as well. Hormone replacement therapies steal your magnesium, your vitamin B and C, and folic acid. Aminoglycosides, don't know if I pronounced that correctly, but like erythromycin, that kind of thing. Those are very gut damaging. Antifungals like nystatin. Those kind of things are really bad because it's killing the good and the bad bacteria. You can't keep up. You've got to have the good bacteria to fight off other things that are coming in. The birth control pill. Stress. 75% of physician visits are for stress-related illnesses and ailments. Old age, of course. Just as you get older, your gut just gets damaged, and especially if you've done these things your entire life, as you get older, it's going to get worse. Being alcoholism, pollution, all of those things are not good as you go through. There are a lot of things that you can do to kind of help your gut to do better. And one of those things is to use oils on your body. Like you can rub them down your spine, on the bottom of your feet. You have VitaFlex points. All of your nerve endings are in your feet. Rubbing oils on them will actually help those things. A couple of other things that are bad for the gut is exposure to toxic substances. radiation, even blue light from computers, of course, or radiation from high cell phone use. My glasses have the blue light now, like, supposed to help protect from some of the blue light damaging radiation from looking at the computer so much. So that's helpful, but that's still not everything, I'm sure. X-rays, like having your teeth x-rayed, MRIs, going through the airport thingies, extreme climates, diet, especially eating things like artificial sugars, which really breeds bacteria. Sugar is compared to things like having so many, like being on a drug. It has that same effect on your body as if you took cocaine or something like that, which is really scary to me. A diet high in fiber from grains like breakfast cereals and bread has a huge effect on our gut flora. All of those things, some of them even have like cardboard and stuff like that in those cereals, and it's just really gross when you think about it. Bottle-fed babies develop different gut flora than breastfed babies, and it's not a good way, and I can attest to that. Baby number 4 was born normal size. Didn't have any problems. It was perfectly fine when she was born, and I started feeding her formula. I have 4 that have PKU, which means that they can't have any protein at all. And she had a special formula she had to drink, and it was required. And did not realize it at the time. And her whole entire life, the doctors were like, oh my goodness. Like, she went from this normal 7-pound baby to, like, I mean, so swollen, so puffy, 20 pounds in no time whatsoever. And the doctor's like, how much are you feeding her? And what are you doing? And all of these things. And so her entire life has been trying to fix this thing. And for a long time, I really didn't know. I did not understand what was going on. And then I realized that this formula, which they had to drink their entire life because it was their protein that they could have. After finally wising up a little bit, and I realized that this entire protein formula is full of sugar. Like, very little protein, but mostly sugar and all kinds of other crap that's in it. It's just absolutely ridiculous. And so all of this stuff has been inflaming inside of her entire life. I mean, it just makes me sick. So now we're trying to fix this gut, this poor child's gut that in her entire life has been ruined. And, starting from scratch. And it's really sad that, and I didn't know what I didn't know. But you would think other people, you would think doctors and I mean, like, they have their own specific nutritionist. Each one of them have their own nutritionist. Eat less, eat less, eat less. Now keep drinking that formula, but eat less. Drink more formula, eat less. Oh my word. Like, really, I mean, it has been a nightmare. So now we're starting all over again. Now I lost my spot after my little rant. Prolonged fasting, starvation, and overeating seriously alter the composition of gut flora and can lead to a lifelong health problems. Can attest to that. Opportunistic bacteria can get out of control because they are being fed by the wrong things, or because the good bacteria that keeps them in check is dying out from being attacked in the gut wall. When that happens, they get through the gut wall barrier and into the lymph nodes. That's when bad things can happen. And bloodstream, and then they cause a host of problems. This is where a lot of times cancer can get ramped up. When this is not controlled, it can damage the gut wall and make it leaky. For example, when Candida breaches the gut wall, its cells attach to the gut lining, pulling roots through it. We can see it on a microscope. Partially digested food gets through the holes where the roots are in and into the bloodstream, where the immune system recognizes it as foreign and attacks it. That is how food allergies and intolerances develop. Cutting out the food doesn't fix the problem Other foods can get through the gut wall and start to cause allergies as the body attacks them too. So you need to stop the leak. The same is true for the human endocrine system, which regulates our hormones. You can go on a pill, but it will mask the symptoms. It's not going to fix the symptoms that are likely getting worse. It does not get to that root, and that's what we've got to get to, and that's what we've got to start figuring out. We've got to get to the root. I don't want to mask a problem or a symptom. I want the problem fixed. I want to totally change, just like my baby. I've got to change her gut. She is 12 years old now, and we've got to fix the gut. The art of medicine consists of amusing the patient while nature cures the disease. Voltaire said that. Dr. Natasha McBride wrote the book, The GAPS Diet. It's an extreme diet. It is, we have done it. It is very, very, like, I would think it's probably even harder than when I did Atkins. Like, it is very extreme. Like, you fix everything. It's very hard, but she really is awesome. Like, the book is really good. She says, I do not believe that anyone, no matter how ill or how disabled, is beyond improvement. When working in neurosurgery, it never calls to amuse me how remarkably well the child's brain recovered after serious operations when parts of the brain were removed. At a yearly checkup, hardly any neurological deficit was detectable. However, nature does not work fast. Getting ill happens amazingly fast, but recovery takes much longer. I tell my GAPS patients to brace themselves for at least 2 years of hard work, sometimes longer. And that is very true. Like, it took me a long time to get my gut completely healed. And I still, I mean, like, I'll have days, I fall off the wagon and I will mess up, but I pay for it dearly when I do because it does not feel good. But you really want to try your hardest to get to that next step. The goals of the GAP diet is goal number 1 is diet. Clean up your digestive tract so it stops being the biggest source of toxicity in the human body. Totally clean it up. Goal number 2 is supplementation. After you cut things out, put good things in so that your body can start absorbing it and get the nutrients that it needs is for it to start doing what it's supposed to do. And goal number 3 is to detoxification and lifestyle changes. Let's walk through, and this is where we're going to stop and come into next week's thing. We're going to get into the fixing and how we're going to make it better phase, because this part is going to be just the most crucial part. So I really wanted to set the stage of why in the world this is so important and what we needed to understand about what is going on in our bodies. We have to change what's going on now and to be able to fix it. And to make these lifestyle changes that will last. Because I can't tell you how much it really means to be able to make these changes and for it to completely be a whole different place than where you're at right now. So next time we're going to walk through the steps of what it looks like to go through the GAPS diet, what that looks like, and some of the route that I took. I did one thing early on, and then when I realized some of the other things that were going on in my body, I had to start making some route changes, and so I developed into some other things. And so we'll kind of go through all of these things and discuss how to why some of these things are offenders, what they are, and what to do to change what we're doing now. So join me next week as we go through the rest of our gut health. So talk to you soon.